This morning I had a little bit of a conundrum. So last week I said we were sort of decluttering in preparation for an updated home tour because there have been a few things extra that have come into our home because of health ailments that my partner and I both have at the moment. Now I am still doing that. However, the issue that I'm having today that you can't really tell on camera at the moment because obviously I'm standing right in the window and I have corrected the exposure a little bit to make it appear a little bit lighter, but it's actually very, very dark. And recently we decided to change our lights around because I decided that I wanted to start also sometimes filming in the bedroom, which meant we changed our light fitting back to the previous one. And currently we have no light source in here. So I don't really want to do the home tour without there being correct light in the living room, because the living room is the main area that I wanted to discuss. Because basically, now that the bedroom has become a little bit less minimal than it was before, I always like to have one room out of our basically 2-room residence that is the quieter, the visually quieter room of the two. So that is now going to become the living room, and we're basically getting rid of nearly everything in here. However, what I wanted to actually do today is have one last declutter and organise ahead of doing the proper home tour. And this time when I do the home tour, I'm really going to go into specific details that I feel like I haven't discussed before. Sort of why we've made decisions about why we've made them, why the things are laid out how they are. Really, really detailed, but I want to be able to do that when I have got better lighting. One of the main things I discussed last week was not really knowing what to do with my plants. I feel like I've kind of made my mind up about the plants, so let's move around and reorganise the plants for a little bit of a declutter. Let's go. Also, last week I took the Japandi table out of the living room. We lasted about 6 days. And then we actually decided upon something, because this is a good example of when removing something and letting it rest in peace helps you learn about how you actually use something in your home. And we discovered that because of how we sit in our living room when we're watching the projector, whoever is sitting on the part of the sofa that doesn't have the footrest, to get comfortable and not sort of get back strain twisting themselves, relies on the Japandi table to actually use as a footrest. So we're giving actually more thought about whether to keep that or not, because we found that after the 6th day, whoever is sitting in that seat wants it back. So we've been using it for a few hours and then putting it back, which I think kind of shows that we do actually use it. Even if we don't use it that much to eat from, and even if we don't use it that much to rest from every now and then anymore, it still gets used as a footrest. And it always gets used when Charlie is here for a little perch for him to sit in the window. So I'm contemplating keeping the Japandi table, but that can still sort of be in the rest in peace / footrest pile for a while. What I think has worked for us for it being a footrest is the exact height of the sofa, whereas the tatami cushions are a little bit lower, and that angle of putting your feet down rather than level can really affect your lower back as well. I moved this back in here just for what I'm going to do in today's video, but it's been in the hallway. I took a cutting of my Monstera because I decided I'm going to do something. Wait there. So for a few days, the Monstera has been propagating on there. What I like about that in the meantime is that it sort of covers up the plugs for our coffee machine. However, I really now have got to the point where I don't like anything being on the sides. I'm thinking about what I will do when it is ready to propagate this Monstera and what I'm going to do with all the other plants. In that I'm thinking I might keep 1 or 2, but literally get rid of everything else. So we already have 1 Monstera in here. He does need some water. But then I have some soil, which I'm actually going to need for when I propagate the plant. So Mr. Monstera can be gifted to somebody. He is leaving the house. The snake plant is leaving, but we are going to swap around what we do so I can get rid of something. So just for the time being, let me put this over here. I'm trying to get the snake plant out of here. That's really, really dry soil, but I'm scared of wetting it anymore so it doesn't get root rot. That's leaving the house, but I need something better to put it in, so we'll put it over here for now. Then I need to decide what I want to do with all these plant pots. So let me go get the other plant that I rescued, but I feel like I rescued it too late and it is dying. So this is the plant pot that I feel that when that has propagated, I can put it directly into here. But that means I need some kind of inner to put that in. And I don't know what I'm going to do here, so I need to cogitate for a second. Okay, it's a little bit of a logistical mess, but this is what I feel I've got to do because I've got no other plant inner at the moment. So you don't need a plant inner in this kind of pot because it has a waterer anyway. But I need to get this out of here into this plant inner and momentarily keep the snake plant until that is ready to propagate. It's a little bit confusing, but let me just do it, speed it up, and then you'll all get what I mean. Let's go. Right, I've swapped things around even though it looks a little bit of a mess. This is the plan. That's all I can do at the moment because of what is going on. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that yet. It was a gift off of a friend, but I have no inner for the snake plant. So for now, the snake plant has to live in that. Even though I feel like it might eventually die because it did get root rot. That section currently hasn't got root rot, but I don't know how much it's like affected the plant. So it may be that it dies and then that resolves itself. If it doesn't die, I'm going to get another inner and just gift it away to somebody. Now, I've got all this mess on here, but this little guy that I found, he is maybe also dying, but I might give him to somebody that might know how to rescue him better. So this is going, it's being decluttered along with the big Monstera. This is eventually going to be propagated into that plant, and I'm not going to ever repot it, so it just stays a small Monstera plant. At that point I will have to get an inner for this, and this will also be decluttered, but not the plant pot. So then all we will be left with, if I can actually clean this up because it looks an absolute mess, with my plant fibre cleaning cloths, we will just be left with these two plants. So my intention is to get rid of all the other plants that I have and keep the potos, which is obviously the plant I've had the longest, and one little Monstera. And at that point I may even change the location of where I've got these, which we're going to go around and discuss in a minute, because I think it's time to like really try and free up space in other areas that I can. So let me have a quick sort out and then I'll show you all what else I'm thinking of decluttering. Since last week I decided that I definitely was enjoying having nothing in this alcove. I think I still left the dehumidifier previously, but I decided I just then didn't really like looking at the dehumidifier in this corner. So the dehumidifier, I've managed to just put it in the edge of the desk, move the other stuff that was there somewhere else, and it overall has made it even look a little bit less busy in the bedroom. Unfortunately now the bedroom has obviously become not quite as minimal as it was before because I require a desk for my very bad back that I've now got from sort of sitting and being at the computer working and editing for 8 hours a day. It's just not realistic to not have a desk, because you'll find that even with floor sitting, which I do feel comfortable doing for a certain amount of time, it's the neck issues it creates, that if you're sitting on the floor editing and your laptop's down, you end up looking down, and even if you then put it on the table, you then end up sitting weird, and then sometimes your hip hurts from sitting out. So even with floor seats, it's at this 90-degree angle and not having the knee bend. It creates all different kinds of back problems for extended periods of time. I actually love sitting on the floor, but I just can't do it sitting on the floor looking at a computer for 8 hours a day. It really does create different back strains, even to do with your wrists and the movement of how you work on the computer. So yeah, the desk is a necessity, and it just shows that even from using the desk for a few weeks, the back pain is starting to ease up a little bit, because I was getting wrist pain, elbow pain, back pain, neck pain before, and that's all going away with sitting at a proper desk. So it's something that I value. Anyway, I wanted to show you all that I've basically prepped this area, decluttered it in a way. The declutter pile itself has gone down a bit from last week, but I'm going to show you what else I'm going to do in preparation. So let me get you all in, turn you all around. So it's a little bit smaller than last week, and that is because I have been working on getting rid of some of the stuff, and we're going to do it again today. So I've been trying to sell that for ages, the tennis rackets, it won't go. Tried to sell it for my partner. I had these little things. They were no use for us, but my mum has said she wants them, and she wants the previous light that we had in the bedroom. She hasn't been to collect them yet, but hopefully she's coming later today, so we will move that. But also, I'm gifting that to my mum, so that can go in the little box with her. And that glass. And if she doesn't want that table, it is going to the charity shop. So let me get rid of them so you guys can see what this area will look like it once did, albeit we've still got the mirrors there. Right, let's move these things. That's rubbish. That can just go in my pocket until I find a bin. Right, so the space now looks a little bit clearer, and I often get asked, why don't you put all the coats and all the shoes somewhere? And I know that somebody who comments something like that is probably quite new to the channel, but basically because we have no storage at all. It is a 32 square metre flat. It doesn't come with any wardrobes, any chests of drawers. Because we live in a loft apartment, it's actually very narrow, our entrance, to get any kind of furniture up here. So it really has to just sort of live under our bed or live out in the open, which I think is why sometimes it comes across as not being as minimal as it really would look in perhaps the average American home, because not only is it a very small English home, but it is a home with no storage. And I think many people manage to make their homes look very minimal just because they've simply got it all in wardrobes and in walk-in closets and things, and disguised in some way, but that is something that we can't really do. And even though we have one drawer under our bed that is currently spare and would absolutely fit the shoes and the coats in, it's just so awkward because all the other drawers are used that you have to start pulling the other drawers out to put them away. So in a realistic world, we might make the effort once a week to put them away, but most of the days the stuff is out for easy access. Like the coat that I always wear, the two most common coats that my partner always wears, they're just left there for easy access, because if we were to start sort of getting under the bed and getting the stuff out every time we used it, and same for the shoes, it would be a real nuisance. Also for my partner, he does smoke. Yes, it's a habit that he can't get out of doing, so he always wants to leave his Crocs in the doorway and a coat, so that when he nips down for, you know, a cigarette, I think he smokes about 5 a day, so it's not too many, but when he goes down on an evening, he wants to be able to be warm, because we can't smoke in the building. I wouldn't want him to smoke in the building either, and neither would he. So he goes outside to do that, so he wants his coat and his Crocs to be there. So if you had to start doing that sort of 2 or 3 times on an evening, it would be a bit annoying for him. So practical world living, this is what it looks like, being both practical and minimal. So it's looking a little bit clearer, so we just need to work now on them, on those two mirrors, and I'm hoping that before the home tour I will either have sold that, or it's looking like I might just give the blob mirror to my mum, because nobody wants it. Nobody wants the blob pebble mirror. So this was the preparation of the home in advance of the home tour, because I don't really want to do the home tour yet until we have adequate lighting in the living room, because I really want to go do a full walk through home tour and discuss things in detail with you all, because I feel like in the past my home tours are quite quick. So we're going to go for a longer, more detailed one, which may be in some people's favour and in other people's favour not, because I know some people don't like it when you give too much information, but in general I think people do like that. So to those other people that don't, tough. I hope you've all enjoyed this video. I will see you next week. Bye!